In 1926, I went into a well-known Talbot Street store and purchased a shirt and shoe collars for the princely price of 1 and 6. The assistant behind the counter, instead of being astonished at my cheek and looking for such a bargain, showed me a selection of those shirts and was as courteous and as polite and as nice to me as if I was spending £100 in this shop, 1926. But my latest visit to a store that catered for this same kind of thing was in O'Connell Street store, where my young daughter, who was 9, had 3 shillings to spend, and went in to select stuff to make dolls' clothes. The assistant behind the counter was every bit as courteous as the man had been to me in 1926, paid her great attention, showed the selection of stuff, and she made her purchase and came out with a nice, friendly smile and farewell from the assistant. But I must say, without generalising on this, that I noticed a deterioration of the standard of shop assistants, both in efficiency and politeness. Now, a purchaser these days goes into a shop and he's the victim of his predecessor. If his predecessor, the purchase, was a crank, ill-mannered and piggish towards the assistant will have that in his nose, and you'll probably get it from him, and he's getting out of the wrong person, because he probably was so astonished by the behaviour of the previous one that he hadn't turned to think or choked them off. Now, on the other hand, if the person previously was a good customer, you'd be all swells and how are you? But all these things are all right. You go into a store, and you see about 6 assistants together, and as soon as they see you approach, you're all afraid to fade away to stick some fella to handle you, because it seems to me that either the commission is so small that they get, it's not worth bothering about to try and sell anything, or they get no commission. But in most cases, the stuff has to sell itself. You're offered no alternative, you're offered no selection, and well, you're doing the job of seller and buyer in the sense that you must look out for everything. You get no assistance whatsoever from the fellow on the other side of the counter. Now, although at the same time I think that men are far better at this occupation than girls, go to these walk-around stores especially, you see them standing around preening themselves, looking at their nails, rubbing back their eyelashes, talking about the fella they were with last night in the dance, and how did you run, and how did you get home? You're standing there like an easy with the stuff in your hand. You could easily walk out of the store without paying for it for all the attention they paid to you. Now, the reason for this is that there's no such thing as training of shop assistants these days in comparison to the old days when provincials mostly came to Dublin to work at this business. Their parents had to pay a fee. They got little or no wages. They were at the mercy of autocratic shop walkers who looked down their nose at them in the first place, at the head off them in the second place if they didn't sell anything, and generally kept them on the move and on the run. And in spite of all these repressions that they were undergoing, they were unfailingly polite to the public, although I can say the public is a hard taskmaster, and there's no reason why people should have to be polite to them all the time, but at least let us have it some of the time. Now, during the war years, of course, a great independent spirit came along, and the stores became less selective regarding employing staff, until finally in the 1950s and 60s, they were nearly imploring people to come and work in their establishments. And instead of going for brains and efficiency, they seem to be going for glamour guys who look lovely behind the counter and haven't got a clue. Now, that's all right having people like that behind the cosmetic counter, where women go in to have themselves disguised for a short time. But it's no good to the public to go in there and see a glamorous looking girl and you want to buy something in a hurry and you say, well, have you got any suggestions for a birthday present for the missus? Or have you got any suggestions about this? Or have you got a better stuff than that? Or where was it made? Or how much a yard or a roll or reel or whatever it is? What else have you got in stock? And invariably got the answer, well, we have nothing else. Because they're too lazy to go and look for it, or even stop to think whether they have it or not. In other words, there's such a couldn't care less attitude now in the shops that if you don't go to a supermarket, your chances of being pleased at anything you get It's practically nil.